Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my book review of the new release book, Lost to Eternity by Greg Cox. This is a brand new Star Trek novel from the original series and the motion picture era. This is our second new Star Trek book of the year. We also had the Next Generation novel, Pliable Truths by Dayton Ward, come out earlier this year, which I loved. Loved this book. It was fantastic. And I was very excited. This was actually my most anticipated Star Trek new release of the year because it's Greg Cox, who's a tremendous author, and it's also the movie era, which I really love, and it is revolving around one of my favorite characters from one of my favorite Star Trek movies. Now, I'll preface this by saying that my absolute favorite Star Trek movie is Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. I love the story in The Voyage Home about having to go back in time and seeing what San Francisco in the 1980s was like, and the whole thing with the whales, and then them getting Gillian Taylor and taking her back to the her and the whales back to the 23rd century or 22nd century, whatever it's called. So the 2200s. So I loved that movie. And so this story is partially revolving around this character of Gillian Taylor, even though she's not actually present in the book. The book has three different eras that it follows. There's a storyline in 2024, there's a storyline in 2268, and then which is like the TOS, the show timeline, and then there's a story that's set in 2292, and it's the book kind of alternates between these three stories. And that last story is the movie era. And so the book is like every chapter is switching back and forth between one of the three. And for the first 100 pages of the book, it's evenly distributed between all three storylines. And then the storyline from the movie era kind of takes a back seat in the middle portion of the book, while it's just the 2024 and 2268 story, the TOS story and the modern day story. And then at the end of the book, it's mostly just the movie era story at the last 100 pages. So the story is, the three eras. And it's delightful to see certain things in this book. First of all, in the movie era, we actually get Saavik, who's on the cover, so it's not a spoiler. Saavik is in that storyline. She's kind of the main POV character in the 2292, which is really exciting because we don't have that many books and that many stories featuring Saavik. She's in Star Trek 234. And then she's really not in the other Star Trek movies, and nor as many Star Trek books. I know there's a few out there with her, but not many. So it was exciting to see her, and I think Greg Cox does a good job with her character. My favorite storyline in the book is the 2024 storyline, where you have these podcasters led by Melinda Silver, and she is a kind of true crime podcaster, and she's done things on disappearing people from, people who have abandoned their spouses and gone off to go do random stuff in other countries, or people who have died and things like that. Well, she's doing a true crime podcast in 2024 about the disappearance of Gillian Taylor. And so we get to follow this podcaster as she goes and tries to figure out what happened to Gillian Taylor. She has absolutely no idea. All she knows is that she just up and vanished the day that the whales left the place. And so it's really almost a reverse mystery because we, the audience, know exactly what happened to Gillian Taylor. We know everything because we saw the movie. But the characters don't. So it is like a reverse mystery where we get to see them try to piece together the story, specifically Melinda. It was great seeing that happen. The second part of that story is an actual mystery where there is, I won't spoil anything, but there is a mystery in 2024 as she's looking into the stuff about Gillian Taylor. Something else kind of pops up that she's investigating. And that was by far the most entertaining part of the book. It was weird seeing certain 2024 slang make it into the book. There were times where little jokes were made, little comments. At one point in the story, the phrase "Okay, Boomer" was in the story, and I understand why. I totally understand why Greg Cox did it, because this story is set in the modern day, so he's trying to do that. But it's just weird when that modern parlance, and you would say, well, Jonathan, they did that in the Star Trek 4 when they went back into the Voyage Home, the movie that this is referencing. In that movie, they went back and they were talking about the modern slang there. So it's kind of hypocritical of me to feel that way, but it feels different in the movie, the way it happened there, than it happened in the book. But maybe, in given time, this will feel the same way. But still, that was weird. But that storyline, the mystery and the verse mystery were fantastic. I loved them. I was on the edge of my seat. Then you have the storyline that takes place during the TOS era, during the 5-year mission is what it's called. And that storyline really reminded me of the Final Frontier, the first act of the movie, the final Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. In a lot of ways, the story beats from that story in here mirrored the first act of that movie. And I enjoyed it, but it felt the weakest of the 3 storylines to me. But it was enjoyable. It was just, not amazing. And then you had the one with Saavik, and I was most intrigued by the Saavik storyline because of Saavik's character, but there were other plot things happening that were kind of like a mystery that was actually quite engaging. And there was a mystery in the 5-year mission era story as well. And they do all tie together. So there's a reason that these 3 stories are in this book, and it's not like it's like 3 novellas. No, they're interwoven. The chapters, there's a reason they're all present, but not the way you think. So I really enjoyed the book. It's not the most top tier or even the best, I think, Greg Cox book I've read, but it's a very enjoyable book. And the mystery is what propels it forward, because you're so interested in finding out not only what happens, but finding out if the characters find out what we know. Is there going to be closure for Gillian Taylor's character? And what's also cool is you get to revisit the moments in the movie. That was just so much fun. It's like they revisit the pizzeria, and they revisit the park, and they revisit the Cetacean Institute, and they revisit all these places and these characters, and there's like little character moments where you're like, oh, that character from the movie, I remember them. Oh, they're gonna show up somehow, 40 years later, for the interviews, and it's just delightful. It's just delightful to read. So I had a lot of fun with this book. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Really solid book. It's not top tier. It's not like the highest recommendation I can give it, but still, it's really entertaining. So if you've had the opportunity to read Lost to Eternity, did you enjoy it? Did you not? What did you think of that mystery? Let me know, because I can't talk about spoilers in the video, but talk about spoilers in the comments down below. Let me know what you thought of this book and everything. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.